The practice that changes everything. An 11-minute story about mastery. You've heard it 1,000 times. Practice makes perfect. Put in your 10,000 hours and you'll become a master. Malcolm Gladwell told us this. We believed it. We repeated it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who put in 10,000 hours at something never become experts. They just become experienced at being mediocre. Anders Ericsson, the psychologist whose research inspired the 10,000-hour rule, spent decades trying to correct this misunderstanding. In his groundbreaking book, Peak, he revealed something most people miss. It's not about the hours you put in. It's about how you spend those hours. So if putting in the time isn't enough, why do so many of us stay stuck at the same skill level year after year despite showing up every single day? Today, I'm going to share an unforgettable story that will reveal the hidden difference between someone who practices for years without improvement and someone who transforms into a master in half the time. And along the way, we'll explore 3 powerful vocabulary words that will elevate your English: complacency, calibration, and transcendence. I promise you, the next 11 minutes will completely change how you approach practice, learning, and growth in every area of your life. Stay with me. There was once a small village nestled at the foot of a mountain. And in this village lived 2 potters, Kenji and Hiro. Both had apprenticed under the same master. Both had practiced their craft for 15 years. Both worked 6 days a week, shaping clay on their wheels from sunrise to sunset. But there was one striking difference. Kenji's pottery sold for modest prices at the village market. His bowls were functional, his vases adequate. They held water, they didn't crack. But they never made anyone stop and stare. Hiro's pottery, on the other hand, was legendary. Collectors traveled from distant cities to acquire his work. His pieces seemed to capture something beyond form, a kind of quiet perfection that made people feel something when they held them. One evening, a traveling merchant stopped at Kenji's workshop. Watching Kenji work, the merchant asked, "You've been doing this for 15 years, haven't you?" "Yes," Kenji replied, centering another ball of clay. 15 years, 6 days a week. I know this craft inside and out." The merchant nodded slowly. "May I ask you something? When was the last time you made a pot that surprised you?" Kenji's hands paused on the wheel. The question hung in the air like dust in the lamplight. He realized, with sudden discomfort, that he couldn't remember. Every pot he made looked like the last one, worked like the last one, sold like the last one. "I'm consistent. Isn't that what matters?" The merchant smiled gently. "Consistency without growth is just comfortable repetition. You haven't been practicing for 15 years. You've been practicing 1 year, 15 times." The word struck Kenji like a hammer. That night, he couldn't sleep. He had put in the hours, thousands and thousands of hours. But the merchant was right. He had reached a level of basic competence, and then he had stopped pushing. He had fallen into complacency, a state of self-satisfied comfort that prevents growth. The next morning, Kenji did something he hadn't done in years. He walked up the mountain path to Hiro's workshop. He found Hiro hunched over a workbench, examining a bowl he'd just fired. But instead of looking satisfied, Hiro was frowning, running his fingers along the rim. "It's beautiful," Kenji said quietly. Hiro glanced up. "The curve is wrong. See here?" He pointed to a section that looked flawless to Kenji's eyes. "The transition from body to rim, it's too abrupt. It lacks flow." Kenji stepped closer. He couldn't see what Hiro was talking about. "But you've been making bowls for 15 years. How are you still finding flaws?" Hiro set the bowl down carefully. That's exactly why I find them. Every morning, I choose one specific element to improve. Last month, it was rim thickness. Before that, glaze consistency in humidity. This month, I'm working on the interior curve, the part most people never even look at. But don't you ever just make pots? Just do what you know works? Hiro shook his head. That's not practice. That's just production. Real practice is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. If I'm not failing regularly, I'm not learning. He walked over to a shelf lined with identical-looking cylinders. These are my morning exercises. Before I make anything for sale, I throw 10 cylinders, each one exactly 15 centimeters tall and 10 centimeters wide. I measure each one. I record the deviations. This is calibration, the constant adjustment and refinement of my skills against a precise standard. Kenji felt something shift inside him. So, you've been practicing differently than me? Yes, Hiro said. You've been practicing your comfort. I've been practicing my discomfort. Over the next months, Kenji transformed his approach. Instead of making 100 similar pots, he focused on specific weaknesses. He spent a full week just on centering, timing himself, measuring the walls for consistency, failing over and over until his muscle memory changed. He asked Hiro for feedback, even though hearing criticism stung. He filmed himself working and watched for inefficient movements. He studied master potters' techniques and tried to replicate their most challenging forms, even when he failed spectacularly. It was exhausting. Some days he made nothing sellable. His hands ached from attempting new grips. His confidence wavered. But then something remarkable happened. 6 months later, Kenji pulled a bowl from the kiln and he stopped. He turned it in his hands, watching how the light played across its surface. The curve of the rim flowed like water. The glaze had a depth he'd never achieved before. The weight in his palm felt right. For the first time in 15 years, a pot of his own making surprised him. A year passed. The traveling merchant returned to the village and stopped by the marketplace. He saw a display of pottery that made him pause. Pieces with that same quality of quiet perfection he'd only seen in Hiro's work. He picked up a teacup, turned it over, and saw Kenji's marker's mark. That evening he climbed to Kenji's workshop. Inside he found Kenji carefully examining a freshly thrown vase, a small notebook beside him filled with measurements and observations. "I see you took my words to heart," the merchant said. Kenji looked up and smiled, not with pride, but with the humble excitement of someone who had discovered an infinite path. "You showed me I had been sleepwalking through my craft. Now I'm finally awake. And you know what? After 16 years of pottery, I feel like I'm just beginning." The merchant nodded. "That feeling, that you're always beginning, that's not a sign you're behind. That's the mark of a true master." In the corner, barely visible, sat a new shelf. On it, 10 perfect cylinders, each exactly 15 centimeters tall and 10 centimeters wide. But beside them, a sticky note read, "Next week, 12 centimeters by 8 centimeters. Precision, plus or minus 2 millimeters." Kenji had reached transcendence, not as an endpoint, but as an ongoing state of purposeful growth that would never end. Here's the truth that Kenji discovered and that Anders Ericsson spent his career proving. Hours don't make you a master. Deliberate practice does. Deliberate practice means working at the edge of your current ability, not in the center of your comfort zone. Getting immediate feedback on your performance. Focusing on specific weaknesses, not just repeating what you're already good at. Treating every session as an opportunity to improve one specific element. If you feel like you've been putting in the hours but not seeing the growth, if you feel like Kenji before his awakening, stuck in comfortable repetition, remember this: you can transform today, not by working more hours, but by working different hours. Start by asking yourself, what's one specific element of my craft, my work, my skill that I could isolate and deliberately improve this week? Not the whole thing, one element. Measure it, fail at it, adjust, repeat. That's where mastery lives, not in the comfort of repetition, but in the discomfort of deliberate growth. If this story resonated with you, show your support with a thumbs up. More importantly, comment below and tell me, what's the one specific practice that changes everything? What's the one specific skill or element you're going to deliberately practice this week? Let's create a community of people committed to real growth, not just comfortable repetition. And if you know someone who's been putting in the hours but not seeing results, someone stuck in their own version of Kenji's workshop, share this video with them. It might be the wake-up call they need. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.